Hi guys, and welcome to another Copic coloring and card tutorial. And today I'm coloring this common Heath flower. This is a just recently released digistamp by Make It Crafty, and because it's newly released, it's a release blog hop. The blog hop started 2 days ago, and I will have a link in the description to my blog hop post, and there you can go to all the blog hop participant. If you join in and do the blog hop, you can win a 25 gift voucher to Make It Crafty. Now, here's the thing: if you're not into digital stamps, Make It Crafty also have really great Copic tutorials, online ebooks, and she also have Zoe, the owner of Make It Crafty, has a whole bunch of chipboard figures and words and letters and all of that things, which are beautiful. So I really urge you to go and visit the store, join in the blog hop, and have fun. So the release is a whole bunch of Australian flowers. It is Australian, or has been Australian Day just recently, so this the flower series was released on that day, and the flower I am coloring is called Common Heath flower, and I actually think we have a very similar one in Sweden. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. The color scheme that I chose for the flowers, I actually grabbed from Google. I did a Googling for the common Heath flower, so I could see which kind of colors it comes with, how the leaves look, and so on. And then I am picking colors that I think would match with those colors. All of those teeny tiny leaves have red spikes sort of on the end of them, and this is why I added a little bit of YR18 at the top. For the flower itself, it is a deep pink, more almost cerise, basically my hair color. So I have chosen a bunch of red violets to add to the flower, and I'm actually going through this color twice because I felt that it became a little bit too light towards the photos the reference photos I was referring. So first I'm going through them, adding shadows to try to make it more dimensional, make it rounder, make it look like some of the leaves are standing out a little bit more than the other ones, and so on. And then I'm going through all of the different colors one by one towards the light. And that is how I do most of my coloring. I start with the dark and go to the light. Sometimes I add my shadows in my lights before, if I'm a little bit insecure about how I want them to be and such. But these were pretty simple to color. I had a lot of fun doing it. I very rarely color flowers, so it was a fun thing to do. And as you see, I'm not perfect when I'm coloring, so I always go in with my colorless blender to kind of clean up the edges and hide when I'm kind of painted over the lines. And then I'm actually going in and I'm cutting these out. And I actually kind of thought about maybe cutting this short because it took a couple of minutes, 5-10 minutes to cut this out, and that means I get a lot of footage of me cutting. But I thought it could be fun to see that I actually did cut this by hand. I haven't used any computer softwares or cutting machines or anything. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I do actually have a cutting machine that I could have done it with, but it takes so much time to set it up. It just stands in my bookcase. I don't have a permanent solution for where I can place it at the moment. But I'm using my Cutter scissors. Some tips about fussy cutting: find a scissor that sits good in your hand. Have thin blades. thin blades is very important, and that feels good for you. The other thing is, don't angle the scissors, angle the paper. So as you see, I'm moving the paper when I'm cutting. I'm not moving my scissors. I'm keeping my scissor hand pretty still and trying to move the paper around more or less. Also, as you might have seen throughout this cutting, is that I cut pieces away because it's hard to get that perfect edge when you have a whole bunch of paper just hanging around. And for the inner parts, I use my craft knife. So, quite simple. I thought I would show that too. And that was all of the cutting and everything. So now we're going to go on to my card base, which is going to be a sort of watercolor one. So I cut down my watercolor paper to 5 1/4 by 4, so it's 1/4 of an inch on both sides smaller than a A2 card base. Then I put it on. I kind of argumented with myself on how to do this, but I put some of the colors down on my mat and I spritzed with a water spritzer. This is Weathered Wood and Stormy Skies. And then I'm picking it up. This is, I think it's called like splotching or something. It's supposed to be a little bit of a more of an organized way of getting those smushing backgrounds. So instead of you smushing your cardstock right into the color, you pick up the color from your mat with like an acrylic sheet or something. You can use packaging for your stamping. I use the kind of overhead monitor thing papers that I have. I have a whole box of it, so I use it for everything. And after I have actually dried this with my heat tool, I then make a small palette. I could just have added them onto the craft sheet, but I get a little bit less color when I do it this way. So I add some water to it, but very little, not so much, because I want to keep it kind of dark because I'm doing some splattering. And I just make sure that I have a lot of water in my brush, and then I just kind of splatter. Just sometimes I hit with my pinky finger, I think it's called, and then other times I just hold the pen very carefully in one hand and I hit with the other onto it to get it to splatter. And when my splatter was done, I let it dry. The splatters I usually let dry by themselves, because otherwise they kind of blow around when you do it with your heat tool. Then I am using my two-way glue pen on this little cutout. It's a Halo by Hero Arts that I actually just had lying around. I had cut it out for a previous card that I then didn't use it for. So it's in Simon's Stamp slate grey cardstock. And I'm just gonna attach this directly to my card because I want it to be very simple. I don't want anything to kind of pull away from the flowers. I want them to be in the focal point. And after putting a lot of teeny tiny pieces of the 3M foam tape, I am adding that onto my card base. I'm doing this because if I want to put it through the mail, nothing will really be squished because everything has something supporting it underneath. Using some marshmallow bassel cardstock for the card base, I cut it at 5 1/2, and then I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. So it's a letter size card sheet. I buy most of my cardstock from the States just because I get the letter size, and then I can make A2 card bases from them. And then I just place my watercolor cardstock that I have a lot on that foam tape on the back side, and that is the card for today. I hope you liked it. If you do, please thumbs it up. It means a lot to me. If you have any questions, just comment down below. Down below I also have all the details of the card and the link to the blog hop. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you later. Bye!